Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Shop. Today, we're finally back working on this broken thing. So we swapped out the engine. We did a white bunny kit for the clutch. Did a little bit of video on that. And yeah, now we're coming to this box. What's in this box? Let's find out. This right here is a standalone ECU. I've heard of this product one time before. Looked them up. ECU Project or Proyect ECU. This is a Mexican company. Comes with all my wires and everything else. All the instructions are online, so you can't really mess them up. So this ECU is a standalone 28 pin to go in there and replace the SAFC2 that I have controlling it, because right now fuel management is an issue and the standalone should really help with the fuel management issue on top of controlling a whole lot of other things. So yeah, we're gonna get into doing this fun stuff because there is a lot to do. But in the process of this, with this being a 28 pin and 24 pin, and if you can guess what a 240 KA is, it is a 48 pin. This should be able to take care of all my issues with fueling and everything else. It uses Tuner Studio just like the Mega Squirt. It doesn't use the same file. You cannot take a Mega Squirt file and put it on the Proyect ECU. If you do, it will corrupt it and it will not work, or it will burn the system up. So I'm leaving all the wires in place. There's only one thing I actually have to redo, and that is I need an air intake sensor. And so since I have certain wires that go certain places and they're not hooked up to anything, if I can get it, like this 2-pin right here, this 2-pin, I'm thinking about running an intake air temperature for the system to use everything that I need, as well as this does have a boost sensor inside and boost and vacuum, so we can deal with that. But all of this wiring, it is not color coded for any other reason other than that's the colors they used. It is a cheap ECU. It is under $300. So we're gonna try and figure this out and pray that I can get this thing running and starting on here and work with that. I've learned a little bit about it. I don't know everything about it, so this is gonna be a really big trial and error kind of thing. I'm praying that I can get this in here and get it going and start changing some stuff up, because I'm tired of dumping fuel into my setup every time I touch the gas. Because it'll crank, it'll run, it sounds good until you touch that throttle, and then it just dumps fuel into it, and I can't figure out why. So we're gonna get rid of the mass airflow sensor. We're gonna get the IAT sensor in and use everything else minus the mass airflow sensor. So see, that's already 3 wires gone. So like I said, everything's online. I took a picture of the pinout right there for the Proyect ECU, and right now I'm going through and labeling each one. As you see, this black wire is a positive 12 volt. That's why it has black. Let's see, there's a red wire over here that is got black on it. That is a ground. This is how they did their wiring. They just grab wires and put them in this. They don't have any sort of relativity to what it's actually for. So you have to go through and follow this diagram and do your pinout. Got a white roll of electrical tape. I'm going through and labeling each one. So you get to have fun watching me. I'm gonna grab my stool. That didn't take long, took about maybe 10 minutes. But now I have them all labeled, and I'm gonna leave these labels. That's why I put them so far back, to make sure that if anytime I need to grab them, I've got them. So I can refer back to the chart on my phone. But yeah, we're gonna learn more about this. It says to test the hardware before you ever plug it up. So I'm going to hook this up to my computer in just a minute, download Tuner Studio, and see what this thing says. And as long as this thing works good, we'll get started on the wiring. And like I said, this is 24 as a 48 pin, but there's a lot of references that aren't used. So technically, there aren't many that I need. Well, I need at least 24. All right, quick review. So we've got them all labeled, got it in the car. I hooked it up to the I hooked the ECU up to my computer. I had to download Tuner Studio first. I had to put the patches in. Everything's on the website on their how-to/download section. So we hooked it up to the battery, power and ground. We did a hardware test with the voltmeter and everything on each injector and the ignition wire. Everything looks good. So now the next thing is getting all those wires, going to the ECU, splicing those in with the harness, and yeah, it's a couple hours, and I will be able to hopefully start this thing. My intake air temperature sensor is coming in today. So like I said, I just have to find a place on the intake, and I'll look up other people's installation and everything else, and I'll find the wiring for one of those sensors so I don't have to worry about it, to make it simple and easy, because I don't feel like running a random wire out to it and then back in there. Hopefully I don't have to do that. I also have to wire in the wideband to the ECU so I can actually watch with the wideband versus the narrow band. You can wire in a narrow band, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wire straight into the wideband. The narrow band's just going to sit in there for right now. It's wired up to the regular ECU. Not worried about it. But yeah, so it's got a 5-volt source coming off the ECU. All the injectors, I'm gonna go through and find them at the ECU, and then I'm gonna splice and do a continuity test on each one to make sure all my wiring is spot on. It asked for fuses between every single wire that goes to the ECU to each component, especially that has power. So what I'm going to end up doing, and it's not just a signal, what I'm going to end up doing is just tracing it back and making sure that, just like here, those all have fuses right here. We're going to go through that and everything else. I have a relay for the fuel pump because you need one. The signal wire from the ECU to the fuel pump is just a signal wire. It will not click it on. It is a 12-volt source, but it's not good enough for the amperage and all that. So you need it to go to a relay to turn it on. That'll be later, but we got it going so far. So in a few days, I'll have everything else going, the sensors in, and start figuring all this out wiring wise. So see you in a few days. All right, so hold this light. So we got everything in here. We got a hose ran for the vacuum. We got all the power wires and everything hooked up. The power wire I'm using, the ECU power isn't working correctly from the harness, so I've got it to an ignition source. Once you turn the key on, it turns on, and it stays constant with 12 volts once the key's on, so that works. There's a couple of random wires here that I don't have hooked up. All right, here we can hook those up later as of per coil on plug and anything else like that. So this is a ground, and it's hooked straight to the battery and straight to the ECU itself. It is a signal ground, so it has to go through all the components, and that's what all these are. Up here is all the grounds are hooked together, and it goes straight to the ECU. All these extra ones I don't use because, like I said in the beginning, this is a 24 pin and this was a 48 pin harness. So we're almost done with everything with that. We got the wideband hooked up. Oh, what else? I've hooked it up to Tuner Studio, checked all the injectors and everything. They work. I've got the air temp sensor hooked up. I put it in an odd place, but hooked up. It is a single wire that I didn't want to do, but it comes back here straight into the harness, and so nonetheless you don't really see it. And so yeah, we're doing good. With all my stuff getting hooked up, I'm gonna have to finish up with fuel pump relay and the CAS that I ordered. So yeah, we're gonna get that one in the next video. So if you like this kind of stuff, check us out, subscribe. If you like other stuff like welding and fabrication and whatnot, subscribe to my other channel, which is gonna be at the end of this video, which is called 251 Designs. Thanks for joining in, and until next time.